Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ladies and Gents Listen Up. How are you today, Mr. Carpenter?
I'm doing well, Dr. Liz. And you?
I'm doing well. Very nice. I love the sun that's out. I love getting that vitamin D. It changes our mood and helps us to feel better, right?
Yes, and that's why I'm out today in nature. I try to do this every so often, get out.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, before we get started today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. We are just about 39 subscribers away from our goal. So you could help us to reach that goal by hitting that subscribe button, right? And we can bring you more and more content. Alrighty, so let's go on over to Grandma's Cookie Jar after you hit that subscribe button, right? We're going to go on over to Grandma's Cookie Jar and we're going to grab out a nugget for today. Grandma's Cookie Jar has so much wisdom for us. Today, we are going to talk about codependency, and I think a lot of us don't even understand what that is, but let's see what Grandma's Cookie Jar gives us the wisdom on, so stay so you can get some great nuggets towards the end. Be patient with yourself. Nothing in nature blooms all year. Ooh, that's
I
good.
got to be patient with yourself, but that's all. I lost it from that point on.
Be patient with yourself. Nothing in nature blooms all year.
Okay.
How appropriate you being out there in nature today.
Hey, I think me and you, me and Grandma's cookie jars on the same wavelength.
Have to be. All righty. And from the backside, it says, for every dark night, there's a brighter day. I love that positivity, right? That is awesome, awesome, awesome. So I did want to acknowledge one of our viewers who left a comment on the What Greater Love episode. And Ashanti Chanel, hello, and thank you for your comment. She says, a little more kindness and less judgment. That's good and so needed.
Yes, yes.
That was awesome, awesome. And thank you so much for your comment. We look forward to more comments, right?
Yes.
So, Mr. Carpenter, are you ready to talk about this codependency issue? It came up on one of our other episodes, so we said, let's tackle the subject. I think a lot of people don't really even understand, what is codependency? What does that mean?
Yes, a lot of people really don't. Because when I went through this topic and tried to make sure I was on top so I could know what I was talking about, I realized something that I look at it the wrong way. And
Really?
I think most people see it the way I see it, because a lot of people think it's codependency. And this is what I was thinking prior to doing the work and researching it. I thought it was the person that was getting the person that you're helping, that person was codependent. I didn't see it as being the person that was helping that person. It's codependency. So with that, I guess we need to make sure we understand what codependency is and the signs of codependency. I'm glad you actually took the time to do this, so we all can be on the same shade of music, so we all can get it all straightened out. Because this is a topic that we've got different varieties of it. Because codependency is on a spectrum. Everybody don't exhibit all the signs. You might have one or two of the signs that you exhibit, and if that's the case, then you might need to work through that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
right.
You want to start off, or you want me to start it off?
Well, go ahead. You can start it off because there's a couple of bullet points that I really wanted to hone in on. But go ahead. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Codependency is a complex, multifaceted behavior pattern, and it's where the individual, you rely on a lot of other people to validate you. You have problems. You have problems being loved yourself. You have problems loving yourself. And what you do is you spend the majority of your time trying to fix other people, and you try to repair other people in their situations to the point of your own detriment, where you would spend more time trying to fix and help other people, and you won't even think about yourself. You'll be raggedy as a bowl of yolk, but you're so busy trying to help everybody else that you let yourself fall and go by the wayside. And this is one of the biggest parts of it that's in danger, because you can't fix everybody. And that's what we ended the last podcast on, the fact that a lot of times, more so ladies more than men, they want to have their self project. They want to create a project in somebody. Oh, I can fix them. I can bring them around. I can make a difference in their life. Where really all you're doing is using up your own time and resources, and that person ain't gonna be no better or no worse than was when you first picked them up. And
Right.
that's basically what codependency is. And the signs of that is that you have low self-esteem yourself. You have low self-esteem, and what you're doing, you're needing other people to validate who you are. So you giving yourself trying to pull them up with the hope that you're going to seem more superior. You're going to seem like you're worthy now because you're investing your time in somebody else, and that's
Right.
supposed to make you feel better about yourself, which don't necessarily work.
But see, and this is the thing, and you talked about what the symptoms are, but getting down to the
Mm-hmm.
root of what the cause is unmet emotional needs, right?
Yes,
So when we
yes,
have unmet emotional needs ourselves, then that's what cultivates that need of codependency. Because if I love you hard enough or fix your issues, then the thought when you're codependent is this person is going to give me what I need, or I'm going to get that satisfaction back, or I'm going to get that back. When, like you said, we can't control anybody else, and we can't control the
correct,
outcome, right?
correct.
We only can control ourselves and and so going back and realizing where that codependency came from, and it can stem, like we said before, we're not going to get all clinical here today, but it stems back from unmet needs as a child, right? There is a cycle that goes on where if your needs or you go through trauma or something happens in your developmental stages of your life, which is from birth until about 9 to 12 years old, if something happens in there, it goes really deep. It goes into a cellular level that we are now our needs aren't met, so now we're looking outside to satisfy the things that are going on the inside of us. And that's why we talk about doing our work. When we go back and
Yeah,
we do our work on ourselves first, and then we can present as a healthy person, and we can also know when the indicators will go off and let us know when we are engaging with somebody that is not, have not done their work and is not in a healthy place, because we
yeah,
can't love somebody into loving us. It just does not
right.
work.
And that's why I commend you on what you're doing these podcasts, because each one of the podcasts for some reason sets up the other podcast or feeds off the other podcast, and you get a full body of work. Because one of the biggest things about codependency is that you don't establish boundaries. And two or three episodes back, we said the importance of setting boundaries, because when you
Exactly.
don't set boundaries, you have issues. And those issues draw you into the point where you are using so much of your own resources, so much of your own time, and trying to help or fix someone else, that you don't have anything left. It's like those shade tree mechanics in the neighborhood. They fix everybody else's car, and their car is the raggedest car in the neighborhood. That's what it equates to. You're fixing everybody
Exactly.
you fixing everything else because you don't set boundaries, that you're just gutting yourself out. And I mean, I'm trying to
Exactly.
keep it simple.
Right, right. But that's it though. And oftentimes we need to hear it in its simplest forms, because, sometimes the therapy language, you don't really get it, because you don't, it kind of goes over our heads. But when we really,
Yeah,
really hone in and say, okay, you just brought up something, you talked about boundaries, and, in boundaries and setting boundaries, everybody thinks that boundary or setting a boundary is for other people, right? Except that, no, those boundaries are for you. That's a part of your self-care. It's about
correct.
you. And oftentimes we think that we need permission from somebody else when we set a boundary, right? Because we don't want to hurt their feelings, or we don't want the repercussions of it. But we do ourselves more harm when we don't take care of ourselves, when we don't do that self-care. Okay?
Yeah,
And so
because
that's
that's a
why it's
biggie on
important.
mine.
Go ahead.
That's a
What's
biggie
the
on
biggie on
mine.
yours?
Biggie on mine is self-care, and you put other people's priorities above your own needs and priorities, and that you put their interests and their emotional needs above your own interests and emotional needs. And when you do that, you really set yourself up. If you Everything I've read and understand about codependency is giving all of what you have to bring somebody else to where you should be inspiring yourself to be, that you invest in this time and resources in someone else, and you're not realizing that you have an issue. your issue need to be addressed. And you need to be seeing some type of therapist, or you need to be in some type of group for codependency, because you're having an issue very much, because people will take and use you as much as you want, as you let them. But if you don't have your boundaries, you don't know to say when, you know when to stop it. It goes on and on and on and on. And
Yeah.
that's why I have been able to say no without feeling guilty, that hey, I'm putting my needs in front of this person's needs, so I'm feeling guilty about that because I should go help them. Wrong. You got to
Well,
put your own.
yeah,
What's
yeah,
the thing about the airplane when the oxygen thing falls? Put your own oxygen mask on first before you can help someone else. That's what this is
absolutely.
all about.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
first.
It's a self care, but again, and I think the biggest issue, and we're gonna have some more things that come up about this later on. But there's the big issue is the self care part, and what you just said about guilt, we have to realize that guilt is not a natural. That's not a natural way of being. That's something that's taught. Like when you're young, you're pushed into feeling shame or feeling guilt or feeling blame. Those aren't natural reactions or responses. So when we go back and we really, I think that's a part of it, is that we don't go back and we do like the research or do the studying to really understand what makes me tick. Why do I respond the way that I do? Why do I react the way that I do? And sometimes it's about, like what you said about the support groups, and going back to finding out, what is it that, sometimes we bury our childhoods when there's so much valuable information in our childhoods. No matter what the childhood was, there is so much information that you can glean from that, and then to understand. And oftentimes we always say, this is my fault, it's my fault this happened, or it's my fault, or we blame ourselves. And oftentimes it's not your fault. It is something that happened back in your childhood that needs to be addressed. And so
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because I know when I was a kid, when I was coming up, it was 14 in my family. And I know my oldest brother, Calvin, my mom would whip my brother's butt if we got in trouble, because she told him he was responsible for us. And no matter what he wanted to do, it's like he had to make sure that we were in line. And there's a lot of times where he had to neglect his own self to keep from getting a whipping, to keep us in line. So sometimes you are taught that by your parents. Like when you were saying surroundings, when you got brought up, you were taught that. And if you don't get that healthy break, or if someone don't help you work through that, you carry that into your adult life. And what was meant as something good to protect the family as a whole, that individual, my brother Calvin, and he suffered because of that. And I don't want to tell my brother's business, but I
Right,
can see
right.
now where he's he's a senior citizen now, but
Okay.
he still looks after all of us, and we're senior citizens. And he still has that nurturing because of
Right.
what my mom had instilled in him as a child.
But there's a
So
lot of people that carry that around from childhood because they were taught, especially the oldest child, sometimes is taught that because the parents in some situations had to, work, and, they had to provide those needs. So the parent did rely on that oldest child to, and by
yes,
sometimes it was by any means necessary. Let me put this in your mind that if they act up, you're going to get it. So again, and not, not, I don't know, I don't want to say not diagnosing anything or anything like that, but it does get into dysfunction, and we have to learn what that means and how we come back from or recover from dysfunction, right? So in
yes,
relationships, and when we tie that back to what it means about relationships, I this holds so deep in my heart that love is a choice, and the first choice is to love yourself and to figure out what's going on with you so that you can make better choices, set clearer boundaries so that you
yes,
can protect yourself. So, like I said, this is a very, very deep topic, deep subject. And when, it was brought up before that let's tackle codependency. And I was like, wow, that's a lot because, it's a deep subject, but it is
yes,
also a subject that if we start peeling back some of those layers of what that looks like, we can help some of our viewers as well as ourselves take a deeper dive and a deeper look at what goes on inside of us, what makes us tick. Why do we sometimes have these, it's called repetition compulsions, right? Meaning, why do we
yes.
keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? Was that was it Einstein that said that keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity? But we do
Yes.
that.
Yep. The mind that took you there is not the mind that's going to bring you from there. Yep. That's it.
Ooh, that's so good.
As a matter of fact, in my studies, it says relationship patterns. They says a sign of codependency is that you get into one dysfunctional relationship after another. They repeat themselves. That cycle where you were mentioning that cycle, and that cycle, no matter even if the person is toxic to you or unhealthy, you still go there. You still go there. You still go there. You still drink from that water faucet or that pond, or you still dip in that pond because that's all you know. That codependency make you feel in your mind that's right. In your mind, that's what's fulfilling you. That's what's giving you what you need. When really, it's a solid sign of codependency. Now,
And
now here's me. I'm like everybody else. I thought signs of this was in enabling behavior. This is what I thought codependency was, that in behavior where you engage in helping someone else to do their to abuse themselves, and you support them in doing that, whether it's drugs or whatever it is, or whether it's indulging in gambling or whatever it is, you supporting them. That's the only opinion that that used to be my opinion of what codependency was.
right,
That
right,
enabling part, and that's only one part of it. And to me, I thought that was the all in all of it right there. And that's when you said this was our topic. Oh, I just knew that's what it was. But
right,
after research, I'm saying, wow, that's only a small part. And
right.
as I went through the other parts, I realized I got some issues too.
Well, see, that's the that's the beauty of it, though. That's the beauty of it. For us to be able to show up as our best selves and to play full
Yeah,
out in this life, we have to go back and pull back some of the layers. And oftentimes, a lot of
yeah,
this is we're in denial, right? A lot of times
yes,
we don't know, or we're in denial, and we think that it's always the other person. But I always
yes,
say that we're the common factor, the common denominator, right?
yes,
So if we keep repeating the same stuff over and over again, doesn't it bear the
yes,
reason to say, hold on, let's stop. Let's get a real good understanding of this. Some people have not even they've been fully functioning in codependency, but they have no clue that they've been, like you just
yes,
said, no clue. And that sometimes in some of the situations, and we're talking about relationships and repeating the same relationships, but oftentimes we carry that dysfunction. Just we say, okay, I just need a new slate. I'm gonna break up with this relationship and I'm gonna go to the next one. But guess what? You're still bringing your same ways, your same habits, your same thought processes, your same repetitious behavior. You're still bringing that to the new relationship. So now think about it. If you're bringing that to the relationship and you meet this person, I call it eye candy, right? You meet this eye candy, right? But they are just as codependent as you are. Now you have two dysfunctional people working together, trying to have a healthy relationship and can't figure it out because of the wiring in our brains. This is
yes,
it's so important, and we talked about it. This conversation spun out of what greater love when we talk about having a spiritual understanding what spiritual connections were. And oftentimes that connection that you're having or that you're feeling, that's like the masquerade dance part of it. But can you endure the whole length of that commitment? If you commit, and if you marry and you commit for the rest of your life, are you willing to do the work that it takes to make that relationship successful? Even if
yes,
you got to pull back the layers on yourself and say, "Ooh, wait a minute. I have some unmet needs and I'm seeking for this person to make me happy and to fulfill those needs." When no, I should come to the table already excited, being that cake, that what I talked about, that lemon pound cake or
okay,
that 7 Up, be that whole cake. And then the person that comes with you, there, the icing or what have you, now you have a great healthy recipe for a very healthy relationship.
yes. Yes, because after going through this, and thanks for bringing this topic up. I was going through this topic. I realized one thing that I was reading this one study, and I said, "Man, I'm reading about me." They said people are people pleasers, and
Yes,
they said people are people pleasers, and they said you're more concerned about the other person's need, that you really get upset with yourself that you can't go beyond where you're supposed to go to help that other person. Because I have in one of my businesses, I have something called BCI, that's Business Creation Institute, where I help people start their own business. And parts in that where I go beyond what I support, what the scope of that business is. I over deliver. And then when it's time, when the other person don't do their part, I feel awfully bad, and I want to even over deliver some more to get them to where they need to be. And I realized, I said, "Oh my Lord, what am I doing here?" I says,
Absolutely.
I got a codependency issue. I might need to talk to Dr. Liz. She got to help me.
Well, we have some other projects that are coming down the pipe, and I can't talk about them right now. But it's going to really help a lot of people with these type issues and things that because
Yes.
it happens every day, and like you said, a lot of folks don't even realize it. I mean, we're all a work in progress. It's all things that we can tweak,
Yes.
and every day, if we're learning something and tweaking something, and becoming better and better and better. See, can you
Yes.
imagine two healthy people coming together? They can tear down this world, or build this world up, I should say, in a positive light.
For
But
real. For
you have
real.
to go through your issues, because you can't just fall into another relationship, into that. And we didn't go into detail about it, but love is a drug. It's as powerful. It gives you the same euphoric feeling as cocaine. Imagine
Yes.
that. And so oftentimes people will come out of one relationship and go right into another, just to anesthetize that feeling of, that that heartache, that pain of being out of a relationship, to go right back into another relationship. And it'll be okay during the masquerade dance or the honeymoon period. But when the real self starts showing up, if it's the real self starts showing up, I'll finish that thought. The real self starts showing up, then the relationship doesn't endure the test of time. So that's what it means to step back and do our work on ourselves. Read books. There's so many self-help books out there, and I'm going to do a plug here. Not It wasn't intentional, but this was a collaborative book that I did, right, with 13 other women. And in this book, we talk about daddy-daughter issues. Okay. And so the reason that I've talked about that is because we can go and we can find self-help books. We can go to group therapy sessions. We can go through, there's so many in therapy. It's nothing wrong with going to therapy. There's so much that we can glean from really, really taking a deep dive and understanding ourselves, and why do we function the way that we do, and also taking off those layers of guilt and shame, taking all those layers off, and really, really seeing what's in front of us. Because it's a shame how many wonderful, amazing people are walking around suffering in silence and wanting a good relationship, but never being able to actually glean that relationship, because there's some things that are broken within themselves.
And it's nothing new under the sun, Dr. Liz. What you just said, self-study. Self-study is important, because a lot of things that you didn't know or you have problems with, there's some person, some counsel, some course, or some therapist out there that specialize in what you need. And for a few dollars here or there, or a little investment of time here and there, you can make a major difference in your life. A major
Yeah.
difference. Just
Yeah.
since the time me and you've been doing this podcast, Dr. Liz, there's so much has opened up my eyes. I've seen so much. And I think I can take the love of, I can take the learnings, I can take the teaching, I can take the new understanding, and I can love so much better. I can love so much harder. I can bring so much more passion into a relationship. I know now I don't have to keep making the same mistakes. The audience don't have to keep making the same mistakes. We have the resources out there at your fingertips. It might be a couple dollars, or it might be some time investment on your part, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it. Believe me, when you can love somebody with your whole heart and an open heart, you can take an open heart to the situation, and you can love freely. Oh man, there's nothing better.
Absolutely. And go back to that when you say that you can love freely, but this is the thing too, to also be able to recognize when people are not there. Because again, we go back to the dysfunctional behavior of, we can control the outcome of a situation because we can control somebody else. And we have to realize it doesn't matter how much we pour into somebody, it doesn't matter how much we love on them and what have you. They are not only until they're ready. That's why I love that love is a choice thing, because love is a choice, and they no matter how much you pour into them, they can choose still not to love you. So
Yes,
you have to be
yes.
able to recognize those indicators, recognize those signs, recognize all of that. And when you can do that and you've done your work, then and then only then, in my opinion, just my opinion, are you then ready to move forward in a relationship.
Okay. Hey, drliz, did you get all your list of your things out? Did you get everything you wanted to bring out in so far?
Those were my points. General conversation about it. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna run through mine right quick, and that way we know, because I want to make sure everybody have what they need, because this was a great topic for me. Low self-esteem and your excessive people pleasing, difficulty setting boundaries, enabling behavior, and this is what I thought it was. I thought it was only that part, enabling behavior, and then control issues. And we didn't get on that much, but you want to control other people and other situations. That's a biggie there. As a matter of fact, you can get upset when that don't happen. And then the fear of abandonment. And when you don't want to lose a person regardless, you will hang on to a toxic relationship, or a person you know ain't going nowhere, or a person that's unemotional rated for you. You will just hold on to that. That's what it is. Neglect self-care, which we spent a lot of time on that one. That was a big one. And then emotional reactivity, that you're hyping. You're always hyper because of your feelings and emotions. And then, like, the neglect of personal goals and your interests, you put other people's needs in front of your needs. And then your difficulty of self-reflection, you're not aware of what's going on in your own life because of somebody else. And right now, codependency is a broad spectrum. If you resonate with any of these signs, then you might need to seek some help. And help could be a therapist, or help could be with a group that actually specialize in this, because this is something very popular, that a lot of groups work with this, and that work by groups is so important and so valuable. And that's all I got, Dr. Liz. I'm all in.
Absolutely, absolutely. We talked about, you said the one thing too, holding on to toxic relationships. And that's the thing. We have an internal guiding system that tells us. Now, sometimes we choose not to pay attention to that internal guiding system, but the guiding system will tell you that there's something wrong. Something is not okay. You're not feeling okay with it, right? And so, like I said, we're going to get into some other topics, but I really hope that this resonated with some people. I do run into people often that are from dysfunctional backgrounds or dysfunctional childhoods, and they want to know, just like what you said about your older brother, about, why do I still carry this same? I have to take care of everybody else, even at the detriment of myself. Well, why? When you have that question, that there's something that needs to be addressed, and also know that you can live a happy life without having all of that. One of my coaches, he talked about emotional what do you call them? Emotional weight, or baggage blockers, where you have all this emotional weight on your shoulders. And think about what a free life you would live and feel if you don't have all of that emotional
Yes.
weight on you and carrying on you. Wow, this is a great conversation. I mean, we went up and down and all the way around the bush, but I think we came back. That's what happens when you're out there in nature. You got a bee or something trying to get into the conversation.
Fighter this big.
Oh my goodness, I still be running and itching and everything. So anyway, so were those your final words from your list? Did you have anything else
those
that you
are my
wanted to
final
add?
words. And once again, for those, make sure you comment, because your comments are very, very important, good or bad. We love that, because we make mistakes along the way, and we want to better the process of giving this to you. So your comments are deeply appreciated.
Absolutely. And don't forget, you all, like, share, and subscribe. 39 and counting, right? Alrighty, y'all stay fearless. Bye for now.